Hello again, everybody. This is Everyday Oppression. Basically doing another quick video, well, hopefully quick video on my viewpoints on the latest YouTube video, The Big Questions with Milo and some feminists talking about cyber violence towards men and women. So basically I'm just going to do a little bit of commentary thing that describes how fucking batshit crazy these women tend to be, and also their behaviors in this discussion. So let's start, shall we?
Well, 45 years ago in that feminist primer, still worth reading, The Female Eunuch, Germaine Greer argued that women did not realize how much men hate them. They know now. Does social media reveal men's hatred for women? Kate, you were on this program. You made a comment when you were on this program last time. I can't even remember what it was, but as ever, it was interesting. It was controversial.
So let's just do this.
And what's happened to you as a result of it?
Well, so first of all, let's just start at the top. Does social media reveal men's...
Does online technology and social media show hatred towards women? No. No, I don't think it does. Now, what we do have here are some people who are kind of mean, who are trolls on the internet, right? But the thing about freedom of speech and the thing about the internet having free access to it means that you will get a lot of compliments or likes, thumbs up into the things that you post, the things that you say, but that doesn't mean that you're protected from the negative side of things. So you know, both men and women experience positive feedback to the things that they say and post, both on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, YouTube channels especially. But that also has a possibility of getting some negative feedback as well, or criticism. Now, one thing feminists don't like is criticism or disagreements with their arguments. So this doesn't actually mean that it's hate towards women. It's just that men have things to say which disproves feminist arguments, and feminists don't really like that. So,
I mean, absolutely, of course it does.
No, actually it doesn't. Of course it does. We have a problem, she says. No, I'm sorry. Now, there is a problem in the sense that there are young people who are actually generally getting affected by this and who are committing suicide because of things that are said to them on the internet. Now, I don't condone hate on the internet. I don't condone these bad behaviors, which is why, you know, in a way, we have to kind of restrain ourselves from making these horrible, mean things. But at the same time, the people who are on the internet, they need to understand that they need a backbone, a spine, to deal with any of the hardships or trolling that does happen. Also, like, I think most people will understand the difference between, like, real harassment, real threats to their beings, you know, both of a violent and sexual nature. They understand this, right? So, but what feminists are trying to say is that any type of dissent or disagreement with their ideas or what they're saying is deemed a harassment. And that's just not the case at all. So, grow a backbone.
We've known that these attitudes are out there for a long time.
No, they have not been out there for a long time, just recently. So what, in the last 30, 40 years since we've had computer technology and internet, World Wide Web. So it hasn't been around forever. It's just now it's become more abundant because of the broad stream of the space that we are now in with globalization and the advancement of technology.
And social media does exactly that. It's always done that. It takes all these opinions from around the world. But it actually does a lot more than that as well. The other thing that it does is it allows people to access you when you should be safe in your home. You know,
much like when Clementine Ford went after that young Aussie man and found out where he lived, called his company and got him fired because he apparently called her a slut on the internet. Now, Clementine Ford, if any of you don't know, is an Australian Melbourne woman who has a career basically being a shit disturber and talking about controversial things while attacking men, belittling them, shaming them, poking fun at them, calling other women sluts. Just look at her Twitter feed as well as her page on Facebook, and you will see how contradicting she is. And the fact that she's for equality of the sexes as a feminist, and yet here she is attacking people. So, it goes both ways. There are both male and female aggressors on the internet. So it's not strictly a black and white world where men are abusing women.
Suddenly, once upon a time, if there were 100 people gathered outside your house shouting something at you, you would have called the police and it would have been dealt with.
Yeah, because it was a in-your-face physical harm or physical threat to your being, to your house, to your property. This is online. The fact that I'm speaking this way onto a computer, I'm not hurting anybody with what I have to say. Words do not hurt you, okay? Especially not over the internet. And if they do, well, maybe it has something to do with your weakness in not dealing with criticism.
But these days, because of social media, people from all over the world, people you would otherwise probably not go anywhere near, are able to get to you.
So if they're able to get to you, that says more about the person, aka you, who can't tolerate criticism or some form of, trolling, So it's on you, sorry.
As it were.
So what was it like for you when you
so
after
what
you made that
happened for me was that I was on this show about a year ago, and we were in a debate about gender equality with Milo, and what happened was that afterwards I received, in 48 hours, I received 165
I just want to point out how, I love Milo's expressions here. He's like, God, just stop talking because what you're saying is just nonsensical. It's all about their personal experiences right now, which is valid, I guess, to the case in point of this discussion. So let's continue.
Abuse, including about 20 rape and death threats, including unpleasant comments about my appearance, lots and lots of those.
Because of what you said to Milo over here?
Well, not because, many of them were from Milo, and many of them were egged on by him.
No, she can't prove that it was actually from Milo. So where is your proof? Thank you very much. Also, a lot of the backlash that you got, I don't think was generally because you're a woman or that it's deemed that being a woman is weak. It's the fact that you lost that debate. You lost that debate. You got your emotions stuck into it without sticking to the facts. And you lost based on what you said. Okay? Now, again, I'm not condoning these people sending you threats or sending hurtful emails or posting your pictures on other people's bodies and saying that you're ugly. I think you're actually quite attractive aesthetically. The things that come out of your mouth, though, on the other hand, well, it's based on what you said, not who you are. There's a difference.
Many of them were encouraged by him. Many people were retweeting him.
I feel the same way, Milo. I feel the same way.
My head photoshopped onto unattractive bodies, this kind of thing, pictures of me manipulated to look horrible or whatever. And the fact is that I'm not the first or the last person to have been on the receiving end of this kind of onslaught.
What, and it never happens to men? Never happens to men at all? To sports anchors, to politicians. I've seen memes in regards to Justin Trudeau, the new Prime Minister of Canada, to Bush. Look at Bush. Look at Obama, for instance, in the States. Are you saying that only this happens to women? Because for sure it happens to men too. So you're not special.
And these are not people questioning what I've said.
No, these are people questioning what you've said. You just don't like that. You think it's about your body. You think it's about your appearance. You think it's because I'm a woman. Ooh, no, it's not. It's because of the things you say. Okay? In a debate, you will be criticized for the things that you say and promote.
From Milo and from a group of people that he supports and encourages. And, if I was in that situation and supporters of mine were to do this kind of thing, I would, of course, turn around and say, hey, this is not cool, this is not okay. But
would you say to all your other feminist friends that maybe your harsh words towards this male person is uncalled for? Or would you just say, well, not all feminists are like that?
Instead of which, egged on by a community of a deep-rooted misogynists, this is the world that we now live in. And it's not just me. Lots and lots of women have been affected by this, including teenagers, including women from all around the world.
So she does make a good point there. Yes, I think a lot of women and a lot of teenage girls are affected by this. But notice how she doesn't even include teenage boys who are committing suicide. or still face harassment online by their peers in high school. No, nobody cares about them. What about the young men who are experiencing this, where they have higher tendencies for, I don't know, violent threats online versus women? Now, they'll talk more about those stats later in the video.
Okay, Milo.
It's about time you addressed it.
What have you turned into?
A flaming homosexual who's fabulous.
What have you turned into?
I used to be such a nice young man.
Well, you
It's
did.
hard to
You're a kind of Führer of the furious now.
But how can you
You're
say
sort of major general of misogyny.
It's
What?
hard to believe, isn't it, that this...
Well, why have your army reacted like
dangerous
that? You can't
homosexual-
support those comments.
No, of course not. But here's the thing. I understand why Kate doesn't understand how fame works, but I do. And the thing is, you know, I'm not particularly interested in a professional provocateur who goes out and says deliberately outrageous things, like I do, turning around and then playing the victim when she doesn't like ridicule or criticism
I
afterwards.
don't say anything outrageous.
Ridicule,
I
let me
just
finish.
campaign
I'll let
for
you
human
finish.
rights.
Oh, you campaign for human rights. It sounded like you were promoting women's rights and teenage girl rights. Where was the man again in that?
I'll let you finish, so stop. You know,
No?
after...
No. Oh, I expect everyone to listen to what I have to say without any interruptions by misogynist pricks like you. But the moment that you have the time to speak and have your turn, I don't think I'm going to let you have it. I'm going to interrupt you because I'm a woman. Yeah, that's not hypocritical. Thank you.
After she lost the debate, as feminists very often do these days, because they
Hold
don't
on a
have
minute,
facts on
that's-
their side.
And he is correct. She did lose that debate, and he won it flawlessly.
You know, she turned around and she did what feminists always do, which is confect a sob story. Now, Kate is, like me, a professional provocateur, but only one of us plays the
that's
victim
not true.
afterwards.
And this is the common theme about what professional feminists will do. Feminists such as Anita Sarkeesian, Mustafa there with the with the whole thing about you can't be sexist towards white men in school. You know, Clementine Ford, as I mentioned before, she's done this and everything where, oh, so, you know, I'm a victim, blah, blah, blah. Well, when you put yourself out there and are a provocateur, as Milo says, then you will be gaining provocative stuff back to you. Now, most men, as far as I can tell, usually just put up with it because it's just in our genes to just put up with shit, as we normally have done. Whereas women, they seem to think that they are above humanity and that they're reached a godlike complex that, you know, saves them from any criticism.
Now, it's interesting,
That's not-
you know, if we get back to the question, it's interesting that, you know, that it's even being framed like this at all. Because what the research shows, the Pew Global data from 2014 shows, is that actually it's men who get more abuse online than women. It is
No, it
men
doesn't.
who get more death
nonsense.
threats.
Oh, it's nonsense, she says. Maybe if you've actually done an ounce of research outside of your feminist lens, that maybe you'll actually see the truth. So he's going to talk more about this, in which I'll be showing some stats about that as well.
More death
nonsense.
threats. It's men who get more violent threats. The only
This is a
thing that
lie.
women beat men at, and this is Pew Global data, is the gold standard of research. The only thing that women beat men in is cyber stalking. And guess what? A lot of the people doing the stalking are other women. What?
He does make a good point here. There is another thing that women have a tendency to be more threatened with sexual violence. So whereas men will get more violent threats online, also in real life, I call this stranger danger, women do have a tendency to be higher percentage of those who get sexual violence or sexual threats towards them. So that, I think, is a legit reason why feminists are complaining, or women should consider that as a form of harassment that they do specifically experience. But they need to understand that men experience the more violent threats.
What social media
This is
shows
not true.
isn't that men hate women, it's that women hate everyone.
Well, not all women hate everybody, just feminists.
Okay.
And that women are
Oh,
the
wait,
primary... Let me
wait.
just finish this. Let me finish this point. I promise
That's
I'll
an
be quick.
outrageous thing to say.
That's an outrageous thing to say. Oh, yes, and anytime feminists say something, that's not outrageous. It's just plain sense.
So I'm going to qualify. I'm going to explain what I mean by that, right?
It's amazing.
Not
how
only
much
are
airtime you're
men,
getting
not
when you're
only.
saying all these
I'm going to get to you, Connie.
Okay,
don't
explain
worry.
that to my
Not
four
only-
daughters, what you just said.
Not
Oh, he has 4 daughters. Well, I'm so proud of you, sir. So maybe you can see how catty they are amongst each other and their girlfriends. Maybe How much problems do they have in high school, which are instigated by other girls? That's a discussion for another day.
Not only...
Take the camera off him.
Not
It's
only...
outrageous.
It's outrageous. Outrageous. I can't believe he would dare use stats and logic against our narrative.
Not only...
A free speech.
Well, you know what? That's what happens with freedom of speech. That is one of the consequences. If you want everyone to have a voice, to speak their mind, to promote what they believe in, sometimes that is going to include the outrageous. Okay? You don't get to dictate how people are going to think and how people are going to say things because you might find offense in it. You are not the authoritative figure about that, okay? Everyone has freedom of speech, and if you don't like it, you can ignore it.
Speech doesn't mean that it's not outrageous.
Well, we'll talk about your free speech about Tim Hunt in a minute.
This lady here is Connie Klaus, I believe. She is directly involved with the scandal with Tim Hunt, Nobel Prize winner scientist, who had an offhanded joke, basically, that she took offense to. She made it a public thing and totally took it out of context. Okay, and a lot of people jumped on this, and then he was forced to resign. He didn't get fired, but he was forced to resign, which is really interesting because there's more developing in this scandal than what we previously have known. Tim Hunt has had his wife stand up for him, has had female and male scientists, other Nobel Peace Prize winners, stand up in defense of him against this woman, Connie. And you'll find out soon that she is now a liar.
Not only are men the primary victims,
This is the man who
not only are men the primary victims of this, but women are the primary perpetrators.
Wait, let him finish.
Now, it's interesting, isn't
Why should we let him finish?
Why should we let him finish? Because it's the respectable thing to do, bitch.
How much time are you
getting?
Okay.
How much time
All
are
right.
you giving him?
Connie.
How much time have we given him? Not a whole lot. Kate had a whole speech by herself with no interruptions. Connie here is now getting the camera directed to her as she interrupts Milo, and as both of them are trying to silence him. So, not a lot.
This is the man
Connie.
who went on Twitter recently and said he wanted somebody assassinated.
Whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa. What? Okay, here's the thing. I'm a follower of Milo on his Twitter page, and nowhere have I seen anywhere where he has instigated the assassination of somebody. Who the hell would he want to assassinate, right? I'm pretty sure that in the UK it is against the law. It is deemed a criminal act to instigate assassination or murder towards somebody else, no matter where it is, in real life or online. Bitch, where's the proof?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
You're a liar.
Yeah.
You lied about Tim Hunt. You lied about Tim Hunt, and now you're lying about me.
He said he wanted somebody assassinated. And right now, this is a typical response in any debate when one person has made a cruel accusation against another one, okay, a criminal accusation. Milo has the appropriate response to call her liar.
He
You
said
are-
he
you
wanted
are-
Please,
somebody
Milo.
assassinated.
Let Connie.
Make
Let
him
Connie.
shut up.
You are-
listen,
listen,
to moderate.
if I.
You need to moderate him, she says. Look at her. She thinks that she's above everybody. You need to moderate him. You know, give him less time with the camera. Focus it all on me.
If I were to
lied
leave
about
you
Tim
all,
Hunt.
if I were to walk
You
out of the
lied
studio now
about
and
what
leave
he
you all
said.
to it,
You lied to
mayhem would
BBC.
ensue.
Nicky, if you were to walk out of the studio, I would come with you. But
Good. Get the fuck out, bitch, because nobody likes what you have to say.
I don't believe you
Connie,
should
I'll
be
come
giving
to you,
airtime
if
to
you don't
someone
mind.
who's a serial
Okay.
offender
You
in
are
this way.
Don't give airtime to this bigot. Don't give airtime to this misogynist. Only listen to us feminists because we agree in equality.
A minute, wait a minute. I want
Silence.
silence. I want silence. I want us all to enjoy just a little 10-second window of silence, and then we can all calm down. No talking for 10 seconds.
And I'm talking. Sorry. I had to interrupt that because I love how the moderator now has to treat this whole audience of adults as if they're kindergarten students. They need 10 seconds of silence because of the amount of fighting that is going on and nothing to do with the talk about cyber violence on hand. It's all about themselves, you know. Milo's guilty of this as well. He is kind of an egomaniac, as sensible ginger here lady will talk about in the future.
Kate, what were you going to say?
What I was going to say is that, I don't want this to be a debate about one individual.
Well, you're making it about one individual. You're making it about Milo and how you should silence him. And Connie is doing the same thing, which in turn makes both of you women victims. Maybe stick to the target, please, of cyber violence against, just girls.
I think it's a shame that people give airtime to somebody, whose views and whose completely horrific statements have been so widely seen, and we should be
It's
no
good to
better.
challenge, though, isn't it?
Oh, geez. This host actually has a point. Careful. Your misogynist is showing.
The point is that there is a huge, huge weight of, and young women especially who go out and speak up online are facing a huge backlash, and I think it's very frightening.
And why do you think that is? Okay, you seem to keep avoiding this conversation, basically. Why are young women getting a backlash on the internet? Maybe it's because these women, these young girls, most of them identify as feminist, and they just parrot off what they are taught in college degrees and women's studies courses, okay? That women are oh so oppressed. The gender wage gap is a real thing. We live in a rape culture. Well, when these people, men and other women, scholars alike, and even some feminists, when they point out the flaws in these discussions with truth and logic, you see that as harassment. If you are not prepared to handle the few words on the internet, be they good or bad, get off the internet.
I'm often asked to do things like go into schools, and teachers always want me to go in and encourage young women to speak up and express themselves. And
Only young women, but not young men. You gents can go in the back and shut the fuck up.
I'm forced to say I don't actually think that young women are stupid. I don't think that when they don't express themselves, it's because they're all bashful and nervous and they don't know what to say.
Well, men do tend to have more of the personality to take risks, right? So by taking more risks, they are putting themselves out there more, being firm and aggressive. Whereas women, now this is where having a platform is necessary for young girls. I do believe that women should speak up more. However, they need to be articulate with what they want to speak about, and also don't shame, attack, or blame men for these problems, okay? The best thing to do for anybody, I think, in regards to online discussions and online debates is to handle it in a civil manner. So I don't believe men should make fun of women, but I also don't believe women should make fun of men, okay? It's called mutual respect.
I think the facts are pretty
What a
plain to
depressing
see.
view of women.
This is where the sensible ginger lady comes in, and she has a lot of good points, which I agree with.
And I think that that if we want young people to speak out and to feel comfortable expressing themselves, then what we need to do is make the internet a place where they can do so. That means bringing in sensible laws and training the police to deal with these kind of things.
So she's talking about basically censoring certain types of freedom of speech. She's talking about putting up safe spaces for women. Again, no safe spaces for young boys or men, strictly about women. But having these laws and regulations to censor people and freedom of thought and freedom of voice, okay? So only a particular thing is allowed on the internet is what this woman here, Kate, and probably most feminists are pushing. And the reason why there's a lot of backlash for that is not because we want freedom to be shitheads and freedom to be douchebags, or trolls. No, it's because if you censor certain types of freedom of speech and only allow specific types, you turn yourself into an echo chamber, okay? You only listen to the good things. You only listen to the great things. Feed and fuel your narcissistic tendencies. And that is not that's not what we are trying to say. Freedom of speech means having the balls, okay, I will say this, having the balls to deal with any backlash, hopefully in a civil matter, okay? You take the good with the bad. That is the consequence of freedom of speech that many of our forefathers and mothers have fought for. And now you're spitting it. in their face.
And there's a sort of echo in the background.
I'm going to come to you in a minute, and Connie, I'm going to come to you for a nice little bit in a minute.
We need the
Very
police
quickly.
to be trained how to deal with this. We need straightforward training on when to act and when not to act, to make sure that the worst things, the rape and the death threats, the horrific harassment and abuse is dealt with. And I think that when we see a few high-profile individuals, perhaps including some in this studio...
Oh, pointing at the fact right at Milo there, why don't you just kick him in the junk already and, we'll call it a hate crime because he's gay.
Locked up, it'll be time for other people to back off.
Okay,
and I very much look forward to that day.
All right.
I very much look forward to the day that I can rule over all the internet and only I have exact say of what can be said, and all men will just be put in the back because that's where they belong.
Milo, I'll come to you. Connie, I'm going to come to you in just a second, okay? That's all right, and we'll have a... Yeah, you can. You were going to come back in.
Yeah, let me...
No, over here.
Someone has...
Oh, look at this. This prick of a bigot, Mr. Milo himself, thought it was being redirected to him, but realizing it's to sensible ginger lady over there. And you know what he does? He gives her the space.
to reveal how very similar these two arguments are, because what actually both Milo and Kate are saying is that people can be made to feel victimised and very nervous and scared of the internet, whether that be men or women. But actually, I want to put, and it's both kind of very pathetic view of how people deal with insults and words, because really most people, especially on Twitter,
I'm talking about
when they receive this kind of crap...
Here she is, Miss High and Mighty Kate herself is interrupting a woman. Talk about misogynist.
And rape and death threats are bad, but when they receive this kind of rubbish on Twitter, they block or they ignore. And I really want to pick up on this idea that women...
Please, Kate, let us...
It's very telling that's kind of, this is what happens. Middle-class women decide that they want to take on the plight of women and that women are victimised, women can't handle the internet. It's absolutely ridiculous and disgusting and sexist and patronising to say that women can't handle the internet. The internet should never be a safe space. Women should be able to experience everything about public life. We fought for that throughout history, and here's somebody who wants to shut us away from it.
OK, well, listen, here's the plan.
Whoa! Are you telling me a woman has logic in her argument to go against a feminist lens? Oh my God. Stop the press, ladies and gentlemen. We have a strong, independent woman here. I do kid here. So anyways, what this lady here is actually talking about, it resonates with me, right? She is basically saying that Kate here and Connie are trying to constrict freedom of speech or stop women from experiencing harsh words on the internet. Whereas this woman here is saying, you know what? If there's harsh words directed your way, you simply can ignore it. You simply can delete those comments. You can step out. She is basically giving control to each individual woman or girl in how to deal with it. Okay? But Kate here, what she seems to think is that we just need to get rid of them altogether. Everybody else is responsible, but not me. I can speak for all other women. I speak for those women who can't handle a little bit of mean words or mean tweets or mean discussions on the Facebook. Funny how patriarchy is supposed to oppress women when it's funny that you actually have access to technology and social media outlets such as Facebook and Twitter, which gives you a platform to bitch about things in the first place.
Well, listen, here's the plan. Here's the plan. I'm going to go from Connie to Connie. We're going to hear Connie's story. Then I'm going to get Milo to respond. And then Kate, we'll get another...
Please know more about these egomaniacs.
Know more about egomaniacs.
Oh, that's really funny. I will say that though I love Milo and he's pretty spot on with a lot of things, I don't fully agree with everything that he says. And he is a bit of an egomaniac. He's more of a playboy of the online debate, let's say. The feminists, though, it's all about their egos.
And any in the audience who want to say something? OK, that's ideally how it's going to be structured. All right. Connie, we heard reference to him and the whole situation, the saga there from Milo Yiannopoulos. Professor Tim Hunt, he made a really not very funny off-taste joke, and he did it in a lecture hall? It was a room full of in South Korea. Some would say it wasn't hugely offensive.
Actually, a lot would say it was unoffensive. You know, the thing about making jokes is all about timing and deliverance, right? So a really funny person who's good at jokes can lighten the mood and everybody will find this funny. Some people, in this case, Mr. Tim Hunt, probably attempted to make a good joke and it just fell flat. Okay? Ha ha, whatever, move along. So what's going to be shown here is how Connie didn't move along.
Got worldwide attention. Ultimately, nothing to do with you, but he lost his job, but you had drawn people's attention to it.
Actually, it had everything to do with her. Most people, if not everybody in that room, except for Miss Connie there, probably just brushed off that really tasteless joke. Actually, I think for more information about this whole scandal that's coming through is that it seems that he was trying to point out the ironic viewpoint about chauvinism and calling himself a monster, right? So Miss Connie here took that joke out of context, thought that it actually meant that he was being chauvinistic, and called him out on it, made it public, and then that whole thing fell apart.
But then the reaction to your reaction was just extraordinary. What have you gone through?
Yes, because every action has a reaction. So of course a lot of people would react to what her reaction was because she just didn't get it.
So this has been really dreadful, and it's kind of exhibited here by the way Milo felt he could just shout abuse across the studio at me.
Shout abuse? Like call you a liar? For accusing him of assassination? For instigating his followers to go and assassinate somebody? Fuck you, madam. You yourself was trying to constrict his platform to speak. You interrupted him, as same with Kate, trying to silence him. That is a perfect logical reaction for anybody who is accused of sending bodily harm to another person, especially of a criminal nature.
And I think what's really interesting about this is that it's not about how people use the Twitter. It's about people trying to maintain a political status quo.
Yeah, the one of feminism ideology.
So a lot of what goes on, there are people in America like Rush Limbaugh who have a very right-wing ideology, and that means they don't want to hear from women, they don't want to hear from people of other colours, they don't want to hear any other contrasting conservative view. And these people are very loud, and these people are very determined to shut a lot of people up.
That's right. Just label anybody who disagrees with your narrative, your feminism ideology, as the right-wingers, or conservative, or traditionalists, not really understanding that people who disagree with you come in all shapes and sizes, all colors, all walks of life. I'm an egalitarian, white, bisexual, androgynous male, okay? We have black people, we have Mexican people, we have trans people, we have gay people, we have straight people, we have married people, we have single people. We even have the youth. We have teenagers, all the way over to like senior citizens who disagree with you. So I'm pretty sure not all of us are right-wing conservative white people, right?
So I report something, I'm a journalist, I can report things. And in the end, in order to protect some stupid comment, then I have to be discredited. I don't have to be discredited. I did nothing wrong. I'm not a liar. I don't have to even defend myself.
Oh, you don't have to defend yourself after taking a joke out of context and getting a man to resign his position as a Nobel Peace Prize winner and scientist? Oh, yes, no. So here we have what's called deflection, ladies and gentlemen. And this is what a lot of feminists will do, where they just shirk all the responsibility for their actions onto other people. I didn't do anything wrong. He did it first off, so I just called it out. Even if you didn't directly make Tim Hunt lose his position as a scientist, you had a hand in it. In fact, you instigated it, whether you like to hear it or not.
As a journalist, I can put a story out there.
What
it
happened
was
to you?
correct.
What kind of abuse did you have online?
So
through emails
I didn't just have abuse online. I had lots of letters sent to my office that were very racist. People would phone me up and scream really racist things. They would send me pictures of monkeys hanging in trees with saying, go back to your your hut, go back to your jungle, you're not welcome here. It's like we are back 50 years in the racial economy of this country. People are really crude, and it's very sad for people like me who've been here and you're trying to make things different for the next generation.
Here I will point out that, that was wrong, okay? That was unfortunate. That should never have happened to you, Miss Connie. I will say this to you. And I don't know how old you are, but possibly 50 years ago, you did feel these racist tendencies that did happen decades ago. So this is probably bringing up a lot of past history for you. But these are your own personal feelings of this. Okay? You also got a man to resign his position based off a joke that you took out of context. And these people are upset. They sent you very bad emails. They've sent you harassment, which they shouldn't have. But you being a black woman should not mean that you are exempt from any type of communication on the internet. When you put your professionalism and journalism out there, expect criticism. Expect people to not like it. Okay? It shouldn't have been taken out to the extreme, mind you, but that's just the way it is.
And there's no change. This country is just as racist, just as white male privileged as it has always been.
Oh yes, so white male privileged that, with our patriarchy card, we've made sure to have no women in that audience. We've made sure to not have any black people in that audience. Look at all those people there. How many of them are gay? How many of them are married or single? How many of them have had abortions? How many of them are sitting there agreeing with you because they don't know any better and they don't understand the aspects of all freedom of speech for everybody? Yeah, white male privilege. Way to use your race card.
Some people. These are some people. These are people who never say it to your face. They're keyboard warriors, aren't they?
They never say it to your face, and they always say all these abusive things. They won't stand up and own their statements.
A minority.
Really, just like how you won't own your responsibility with getting Tim Hunt, sacked. When will you start owning up your side of the things, Ms. Connie? What about that?
And it's not about hatred.
Uh-oh. Watch out. Sensible Ginger over there says to ignore them. Oh my God. She has internalized misogyny. Ladies and gentlemen, tie her up, hang her off the tree, and make her the new monkey.
It's a minority of men.
This is victimized as a currency.
Hang on. No, it's hundreds and thousands of men.
Notice how she said hundreds of thousands of men. Men. Okay, well, we can be sure that it's all 100% men who have left these harassing emails and images to her. Well, I guess women, that doesn't mean that you are agents. So all those women who did the exact same thing, well, you don't exist.
You're trying to
but there are millions of men, right? So
yeah.
Milo, I said I would come to Milo. I mean, I know you want to respond to that, but you did this poll online.
Yes, I did.
What would you rather your child had, feminism or cancer?
Yep. And 22,000 people voted, and people voted in favour of cancer.
I was one of those people. I did vote for my kid to have cancer. Hey, at least cancer doesn't lie to you.
Now, what the statistics show us is that in just 2 years, the number of women who identify as a feminist in the US has gone from 28 to 18%.
Thank God.
The number of British women who identify as feminists has slumped to an all-time low of 7%.
Praise the Lord Jesus. Some fucking common sense.
Why? Because these are the kinds of representatives of feminism. Professional provocateurs who play the victim after the fact, and professors of science journalism who deliberately misrepresent statements by Nobel Prize-winning scientists in an attempt to end their career, who repeatedly lie to journalists, BuzzFeed, The Daily Beast, the BBC, all of them have had to issue all of them.
No, you're a liar.
No, you're a liar. You should shut up. Don't give him any time because it goes against our narrative. You know, so far in this whole debacle of a debate, if you want to call it that, the only one who is actually giving somewhat of legitimate evidence and statistical proof for the cause of cyber violence towards men and women is Milo.
All of them have had to issue corrections over statements you made.
People can just look this up.
Just Google it. That's right. It's not my responsibility to teach you about how much of a shitlord you are. Google it.
And this, of course, is a professor of science journalism who fabricated her CV as well.
We have to get a response from that.
We have to get a response for that. Because now he's making accusations, which we are allowed to get a response from. But when she accuses him, he can't defend himself. Funny how that works.
Audience, in a minute, put your hands up so I know where to come.
If you're not going to let me make the case...
Well, she has to respond to that.
Well, she has to. Of course, because we should give women the platform at every opportunity. Fuck Milo.
I am going to make specific accusations she can respond
Who
to.
cares about people throwing back accusations at themselves? I'm sure really not many people are interested in what's going on between you three. They're not, because, I mean, this is what people like this do on Twitter. They create a hubbub around controversial stuff. They say, this poll, if you're any kind of, like, intellectual person or with half a brain, you'd laugh at such rubbish.
Stop talking logic, you red-headed, soulless girl. Ugh. Damn it, you're going to get so much hate mail because of your logic. I feel sorry for you.
This is the whole thing about Twitter and the internet. If you're going to be a political person, and journalists are political people, you put out opinion there. And I often put out opinions that people find absolutely abhorrent and disgusting because they don't agree with me. And the emotional overreaction to that comes in the form of, you're fat, you're this, all horrible stuff. Yes, and it's unpleasant, but the whole point is, as you're taking that risk to step out into
from a tree.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not condoning this.
But you are.
No, I'm not condoning this. But what?
That's exactly what you're doing, is condoning this hateful speech. So therefore, you need to shut up. Maybe, Kate, if you actually shut up and let other people talk and give them the platform to talk, maybe you will actually hear what they're trying to say. You only hear what's inside your head, okay? You have horse blinders on, and this is all you see. Listen to the woman.
What do we ask? Please, what do we ask?
Be saying
Okay,
that
Milo, wait, come in a second.
racism is
Do we bring in more laws and regulations?
Milo, monkey...
You know, bitch, can you please stop interrupting other people when they have a say? Okay? Not everybody is agreeing with you. Okay? Maybe some of those members of the audience, they are agreeing with you. But let's let the men talk, shall we?
Hanging from a tree.
I'm being completely mischaracterised because I'm
people?
very much on your camp on free speech thing. It is
Milo, you're a
disgusting
liar.
and deplorable.
You are a liar.
It's disgusting and deplorable why anybody would want to send anybody that kind of racist abuse. It's awful. I would never want to be in the same room as somebody like that. However...
And yet they're your followers and your fans.
He doesn't control his followers or the things that they say or post. People have individual minds and individual agency. By the way, a lot of followers on his page on Twitter or Facebook, they're men and women. Okay? There's tons of it. Just why don't you go look at his Twitter, or are you just assuming the worst?
However,
And you don't even have
let's
the
hear the
It's not about you.
However, I am not responsible for what other people put on Twitter.
He's exactly 100% unequivocally right.
150,000 people follow me on Twitter, 50,000 on YouTube, 75,000 on Facebook. I am not
you've been
responsible
unverified, haven't you?
I am not responsible as a public figure for what a tiny minority of idiots say to people that I disagree with. Yet I'm held accountable for it in a studio, and I was accused of calling for someone's assassination. These are outright, incredible, galling lies from people who have a history of dishonesty.
It's true, actually, and we can see this from the last debate with Kate, where she utterly failed her side of the debate.
Okay, Connie,
We've seen the tweet.
hands up.
Google it.
Connie,
It's
go
all
on.
over the web.
Oh, if it's all over the web, honey, where's the proof?
Yes, your
And-
fabricated
No,
CV is all over the web as well.
And because
It's Connie's
You
turn.
lied about your bylines, you lied about your qualifications, and you lied
Milo.
about Tim
Give
Hunt.
that
You
man-
Professor of Science
give
Journalism, you
that
should be
man
ashamed
camera.
of yourself.
Should we let Connie respond to that?
I love how the whole audience allows for her to respond and give her the platform. Is it because nobody wants to challenge a black elderly woman? Because if you do, misogynies.
it's pathetic.
See?
Oh, and now she's she's brought down the debate to a subpar kindergarten level of name calling. It's so pathetic. Well, you know what's also pathetic, Miss Connie, is the fact that you're using the basis of your whole argument by attacking your opponent.
I've got 150,000 followers in the audience.
Yeah, but
who
your
agree with
account's
me.
verified, Nikki.
Connie.
So, Milo just called for somebody to be assassinated. Twitter essentially struck him
He's
off.
saying he didn't.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. What was the
Well,
tweet?
Of course, he's
What was
lying.
the tweet? What was the wording of the tweet? What did it say?
So, actually, we don't need to believe everything he's saying.
What
We don't need to believe everything he's saying unless it's a threat to assassinate people. Are you fucking stupid?
did it say?
There's a particular...
No, Milo, let's hear Connie.
There's a
She's accusing
particular
me of calling
kind...
someone's
You
assassination
accuse
as
her
a
of
crime. She should
manufacturing
justify
TV.
herself.
Okay, Connie.
Is a particular kind of person that makes his money and his fortune on Twitter, and he wants to develop his public persona on Twitter. There's lots of people like him around.
How did he call for
Right.
someone's assassination?
He called for it on a tweet because somebody challenged
Whose
him.
assassination?
And
What was the wording?
As a result, Twitter have unverified or
Not true.
de-verified
Not true.
him.
Total lie.
And they are now... you
you
wrote
haven't got
about it
anything.
yourself,
Not true.
Milo. It's
Not true.
nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
No, honey. No. He's asking for specific proof that you have accused Milo of, in which you have to supply that evidence. You just saying, well, it's on Twitter. Ugh, don't make a huge lie on national TV without nothing to back it up.
It's just not true.
And this is...
You need to address the allegations
This
that
is
you
the
need to-
kind of person...
Stop telling that black woman what to do, Milo. You're a gay white man. Know your fucking place.
that has tried to make a fortune and their fame on Twitter because they're desperate.
Oh my God, woman. Can you stop projecting for 1 second? And can we go back to the actual discussion about cyber violence towards girls? And not boys. Because, boys are dumb. Throw rocks at them.
Exactly. So why do we care about that?
So my colleague in America, one of my colleagues,
misogynism.
Charles Blow, is a very, very fine commentator on Annie Writes for the New York Times, and he wrote recently something, and as a result, he also got a death threat. And he said to Twitter, isn't it time you take some of these people off Twitter? And Twitter said, just contact the police if somebody shoots you. This person threatened to shoot him on Twitter. And people like Milo are those kind of people, and they need to be taken off. And they need to be taken off by
Quick
Twitter.
audience.
Be taken off the webs by who? You? For one thing, they're just words, madam. They are just words. Unless there is actual physical evidence of somebody stalking you at your location, who has doxed you, who has followed you, who has sent death threats, who've killed your dogs, okay? Unless that happens, this is not real, okay? It's all on the internet. Who cares? I've been fucking threatened on the internet, okay? Mostly by women. But, whatever. Women don't have agency. They're just objects, blah, 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 blah.
Quick audience. So, gentlemen, please make it quick comments. We're coming to the end. Quick comments.
Hey, we found Waldo. There he is.
I think ladies over here who suffered this abuse and all other women and men, and just
Go
for
to a
people to
white
say
man
things
again.
like, oh, just block them, just delete them, just ignore it. It's
Yeah, it's actually the best proven way to do that because A, it shows that what strangers tell you means nothing to you, all right? And it gets you into power. It makes you have the control and the power to deal with the discussion. If you don't like it, block it. If you don't like the person, delete it. Ignore them.
terrible. Like, they've been abused. They need...
No, it is not abuse, okay? If somebody is shaking and suffering from PTSD because of certain words on the internet, then I'm sorry, there's more on them than the abuser, right? It's called having a backbone.
Need to be held
I'm behind.
They're just words. They're just words.
Oh, shut up, sensible ginger. God damn it. Why are you so smart?
They're just words. Go on.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, I mean, social media it really is just a petri dish of the entirety of society, really. But I have to say that a vacuous person like this is not representative of men on social media.
And you know what, sir? You're absolutely right. You know, Milo doesn't really represent me. I represent myself. And what I'm saying is that these feminists over there don't represent all women. Okay? This is why you have women who are against feminism, because these upper class white women who want to be tolerant and save everybody else from the also mean patriarchy, which doesn't exist, they don't speak for these women. Okay? The sensible ginger has more say in when protecting women's rights to not being damsels in distress, right? So Milo doesn't represent us. No, he doesn't. However, a lot of people agree with him.
But you know, Milo, you're a controversialist, you know.
Controversialist or egomaniac. I mean, the point is,
but you defend his right to be a controversialist.
I defend anybody's right to say anything, and that's the important distinction between what I'm saying and what everybody else is saying.
Which, by the way, the feminists aren't really getting. Again, their mentality. If you're not for feminism or for equality, therefore you're for non-equality. Or, you know, we need safe spaces and freedom of speech to be constricted.
Is that I think you should be able to say the most abhorrent, the most awful things, because words are words, and especially on Twitter. The only time I would ever be afraid of a man, or a man would ever intimidate me, is if he was threatening my life physically. That can't happen on Twitter because it's just words. The amount of stuff that you get, death threats, evil stuff, block them. Be an adult. Are you a girl or are you a woman? Be an adult.
Okay.
And this is where a lot of people from the non-feminist side are trying to tell you feminist women, don't be little girls, don't be little damsels in distress, don't make false accusations, don't attack people, and then not expect to be upheld to your responsibility for your own agency. She is basically saying, be an adult, not a child. That is where most of this debate comes from, okay? And if you want to be an adult, if you want to be treated with agency, the same level as men, right? Then fucking grow a backbone.
But you have got about 40 seconds to respond, Milo, and get the last word in here.
Why are we giving him the last word, Miss Connie? Is because all you women have done is talk, talk, talk. He has been trying to voice his side of the debate. And every turn you interrupt, you attack him, accuse him of criminal acts, and are trying to shut him down. So give him the last word if you're any of what of a respectable woman.
Because there's a lot of accusations. You know, it's time. It's time. Lots of people talking.
This is very straightforward. Let's not make it about me. You've got lying feminists throwing accusations. Who cares?
Okay, now we've just been accused.
Let's not.
Well, if you actually weren't throwing out drivel and lies and propaganda, which everybody is taking notice of, you wouldn't get this type of harassment. We value good ideas. We value strong women who can take a little banter, okay? Just we want strong women, and you are saying women are these delicate flowers who cannot handle the internet. So if you can't handle the internet, get the hell off. Because guess what? It's called freedom of speech. And some people are going to disagree with you. Others are going to criticize you. And yes, a very small amount of them will send harassment and death threats to you. Deal with it.
The fact is that the research does not support the premise of this question. It does not support them. It does not support any of the stuff you're talking
you just
about.
said lying feminists.
Internet abuse is a very real thing, and it silences women's voices. It makes women afraid to speak out, and there's so many important reasons why they should be able to. There are young people who have committed suicide because of internet abuse, and yet we have people here who not only support it, but who do it themselves. And
Thank
we
you.
need to hear less.
No. Look, thanks for watching. We will see you next week. Tweet away.
And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. So, basic summary of this whole debacle. The big question or the big fail? Who do you think actually won that debate? I think basically Milo, if given the chance to speak, he would have just blown them out of the water. However, the feminists there, Miss Connie and Miss Kate, made it all about themselves. And without really talking about the issues of cyber violence and online harassment, both to girls and boys. Now, the only sensible person in that whole debate was Sensible Ginger. So I tip my toot to you, madam. Keep on trucking. Let me know in the comments section what you guys think about this. So take care of each other. Bye.